All right, everyone. So we want to say Happy Mother's Day to everyone that is watching us tonight. And we want to say welcome to everyone. I don't know if everyone knows, but we are celebrating or we are acknowledging the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health awareness. And I don't think it should just be just for 1 month. I think that's something that should be acknowledged and observed every single day of the year, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
like everything else, they designate a particular time, a month or day or whatever to acknowledge that. So with that said, we did say Happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers out there. We all are mothers, regardless. We all take care of everyone in some way, shape, or form. And if we were to define the word mother, you would find that we all are mothers, right? Because what do mothers do? We take care, right? We nurture. Absolutely. So we are going to start our conversation tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a conversation about our mental health and the holistic approach to mental health, mind body connection. What is the health and mind body connection as it pertains to our mental health? So tonight, joining us tonight, again, we are the Women Breathe Holistic Center. We are a nonprofit organization, and we are here for women with trauma, women with all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of issues. We are here to address it. But tonight we're specifically talking about mental health. My name is Peggy Joseph. I am a mental health professional, experienced. I am a registered nurse. I do have a degree in education and a degree in psychology and counseling. I worked most of my part as a nurse. Not only was I an ER trauma nurse, but I also worked my latter part, specifically psychology. And in the psych units, I worked extensively with a lot of mental health patients. And prior to that, before my nursing degree, I was working with mental health centers, community centers, as a not only a case manager, but also as a therapist. So I've dealt with a lot of mental health issues from all backgrounds, ages, you name it. Those that have been incarcerated since the age of 16, and at 27, I'm getting them. So do you imagine the mental health state of that person? Just to give you a little background. And furthermore, in addition to that, I will also like to acknowledge that tonight we have Jadine Louissaint and also Dr. Rhoda Lohier.
Thank you.
Correct? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Amen. Thank you, Lord. So I'm going to let each one of you ladies introduce yourself, because nobody can introduce you better than you can introduce yourself, because you know what you do, what specifically you want to emphasize on who you are. So with that said, I'm going to turn the platform over to each one of you to introduce yourselves to our viewers.
Okay. Jadine, you're welcome to go first.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So my name is Jadine Louissaint, and I too am a nurse. Next year will make it 20 years of being in the profession. And because of that timestamp, I've been able to work with pediatrics, adults. She mentioned case management. I've been on the administrative part of things, finance, and I actually did mental health for about 3 years. I'm also now learning more about who we are from an energetic standpoint. So the things that I'll be sharing tonight will focus on energy and frequency, but ultimately, I do want to share a disclaimer, there you go, that the things that I talk about, I want it to reflect me and my journey through the nursing profession and the healthcare system, and not anyone else on the live and the holistic Women Breathe Again Holistic Center, because some of the information that I will be sharing is not common. And so, you know, I would like to give people the opportunity to see what resonates with them, and if it makes sense that they can go and do further research. But from that standpoint, that's the background that I have coming from a holistic standpoint. And I also did work in the community. I had a nonprofit where I work with young girls. And so I got to see the psychology of that, working with them and the things that they dealt with the dysfunction or just the things that in the community that wasn't addressed. And we know mental health in our community has always been something like a hush hush. We don't talk about it.
Right.
And if we do have a member, it's like, that's her. Everybody, understands he or she is this. And so, approach them delicately. And, it's almost like we're going to put them over there, right? And we're not going to really address how it affects everyone in the family dynamic based off of the relationship that they have with that family member. Right. So I'm excited, and I'll give it to you, Dr. Rhoda.
Well, I just really, really like the way you phrased all that, because you do have a lot to share. What I'm going to share, though, is, well, first of all, my background is I'm an acupuncture physician, licensed in Florida State. And I do treat all parts of the person. Why? Because holistic medicine, the word itself implies the whole person. That is mind, body, and spirit. That's why it's holistic medicine. And usually every illness, regardless of whether it's mental or not, begins in the mind, believe it or not. Some people can make themselves sick. If it comes from the mind, then you can also make yourself better, because that too comes from the mind. We consider the whole person by focusing solely on specific symptoms or issues in the context of mental health. And the approach means addressing not only the psychological aspects of a person's well-being, but also their psychological, physical, psychological, emotional, social, and spiritual needs. So when we ask questions such as, what Chinese, I practice professional Chinese medicine, and more specifically acupuncture, but I am a natural doctor of Chinese medicine. And our approach to mental health from a holistic perspective focuses on the balance of energy within the body. And TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine, believes that mental health issues stems from an imbalance of energy. Imbalance of energy, emotions, and organ function. When I'd like to also explain acupuncture, because if you have an idea of acupuncture, of what acupuncture is, then you can understand that a little bit better. And I'm going to briefly show you what acupuncture is. I've got this pretty background, which Jadine thinks is very soothing, so I'm going to keep it. But I'm going to hold this up. As you can see, this is a chart. It's an acupressure chart. And those little lines going through signify the pathways that are going through the body that belong to each organ. We look at 12 organs, and each organ handles diseases accordingly. Now, some of the organ channels begin at, okay, they begin at the toes, okay, and go all the way up to the head. So I think this is kind of enough. And some begin at the fingers and go all the way up to the head or into the chest. So you are very well covered. Now, when we speak of mental health, that also includes some of our softer issues, such as stress and anxiety. I say softer issues, but they actually are very serious issues, because people come in specifically to handle their stress and anxiety. Now, why is it important that I show you the chart? It's because my job is to do what's called symptom differentiation, to figure out which one of the organ channels is responsible for whatever illness you're going through. And let's say you have, you come in and you're having a big problem with memory loss. because, you're constantly going into the room and thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know what I was looking for. So you leave the room and you come back to say, oh, that's what I was looking for. Now, most people don't look at that as an issue, but it's really the beginning of one. Why is that? It's because acupuncture is preventive medicine. It wasn't really discovered to help people who are really, really sick, although we can help with illnesses. But in Asia, especially when I go back to visit, my friends' parents are like, dressed and on their way to see the doctor once a month. And I asked if they were ill, and they're like, you don't understand. We have to do this until the day we die. We just go see an acupuncturist. They say doctor because in China, an MD is usually a Western and Eastern medicine doctor. So they see a doctor every month, which is why most of you who are listening to the sound of my voice know that you've not really seen Asians who are, an average obese Asian, or an Asian person who's got like all these major illnesses that we're combating here. And that also includes mental issues. Yeah. Yes, we're talking about a nation. So of course you have a few people that do have issues, but the majority are doing acupuncture and therefore are remaining healthy. It is only in the West do people go see a doctor when they're sick. But in Asia, generally people see a doctor like on a regular basis. Now, in as far as mental health is concerned, there are, and this is kind of a lesser known thing that is really more common among TCM, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. I don't have to be in the local area to really affect, to really help you with the illness. Right. My specialty is pain management. And so if someone comes in with pain anywhere in the head and the foot, wherever it is, it's my job to handle it. However, let's talk about pain in the head. Remember, mental illness can be even a pain that's causing you to go batty. I mean, if you have like a migraine, that's a serious thing. And then next thing you know, the person's acting a bit irrational and all kinds of things are happening with that. Right. Well, there are symptoms that come with that. So let's say, and I had a patient come in who had a migraine for 3 months and came in with dark glasses and, especially those really special ones that protect you on the side. So even house light was very, very too much for him. And I put simply one needle in his piggy toe. And 7.5 minutes later, the migraine was gone. Wow. Why is that? It's because you're very well connected. I don't have to be in the local area to help you. So when a person is feeling very stressed, or even people who've come in with, who are bipolar or who are having issues, and in Chinese medicine, we don't only treat the symptoms, we always seek to find the root of the problem, because herein lies the benefit of doing natural medicine. Yeah. I mean, Western medicine oftentimes, and I won't say all the time because I'm not a Western medicine practitioner, but oftentimes the medication that you're given is to either hush the problem, go to the pain center in your brain and shut it down. So you still have the problem, but you won't feel it. Yeah. Or it's just taking care of whatever comes out of this illness, like the symptoms. Oh my goodness, you're having hot flashes. We'll give you something for the hot flashes. Well, the hot flash medication is causing something else. Yeah. Or if you find that, you're always getting headaches, well, we'll give you something for the headache, but then it may have a side effect of something else. Well, in Chinese medicine, we look for the reason you're having these issues. Now, let's say someone is having some issues with memory loss. Well, one of the things that usually come with that, even if it's not memory loss, let's say you're just the person that gets into your car and says, oh, where are my keys? And the keys are in your hands. Or where are my glasses? And the glasses are on your head. What that's telling me is if you have low back pains or shoulder pains or neck pains, oftentimes, and you can all relate to that, Jadine, I see you're checking.
No, I'm looking at my notes.
Oftentimes, it's because the shoulder is really hard, like it feels like there's a brick on your shoulder, or the area in your lower back is really hard. What that tells me is there may be some blood stasis. And because the oxygenated blood cannot get through and get to your brain, it will cause you to have a bit of a memory loss. So that which you think is just, oh, you know what, she's just very forgetful that way, is actually part of the problem. The oxygenated blood is not getting to the brain. Now, there are other people who experience dizziness and all kinds of other issues that result from, not getting enough oxygen to the brain. And some of these diagnoses also cross into, some of the other mental illnesses that we speak of or that we're considering. Like if a mother is overworked, if you just don't have time to rest,
Right.
well, that also can be a bit much. That can lead to a lot of other things that affect the mind as well. And how we approach this is in different ways, not just in one way, but in several different ways. And I believe, Peggy, you had some questions for me, which
Yes.
I'll be glad to answer because I don't want to just run on.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very glad that you actually started off with the whole acupuncture theory and how it relates to the mind, body, and connection with mental health. And that is actually one of our topics tonight was acupuncture. So you did answer what is acupuncture, and you did, kind of summarized it for us. What is acupuncture? Where does it stem from? And how do we approach it as far as the
Okay,
body is concerned?
that's a great question. And earlier I was talking to Jadine and we talked about going back to the very beginning. Most people assume that acupuncture started in China. Actually, it did not. Acupuncture began in Egypt because in the hieroglyphics, we can see that the Egyptians are putting needles on bodies that are laying down. And that they were doing acupuncture. Now, the Chinese, I believe, took it and ran with it.
Okay.
And I actually respect the Chinese culture because they took it and developed it into something really wonderful.
Okay.
So now we have structure, we have, guide. So we are practicing Chinese medicine mainly because it's been developed over 5,000 years in China.
Okay.
And to us here in the West, we've only had it in our culture for under 100 years. So there's also a little something that goes with that. When I practice acupuncture, of course, the way I measure how well I'm doing is by the results. I'm results oriented. How are you feeling? And when people are feeling wonderful, I know that the job is being done. But I was not working as the Chinese professors that I knew. And one of the reasons, because when they work on a person, I'm not saying all of them, I'm saying, the few, the people are always very sensitive. I mean, they totally use the needle in a stabbing motion. They stab you with it. And people tend to get turned off by that and don't go back. However, the Chinese patients would go back because they're like, oh, they're good acupuncturists. So I asked a Chinese doctor who's around 90 years old and such, and he said to me, well, it's because we've had it in our history for over 5,000 years. And he said, even as a baby, I was being needled. And today, we don't needle babies. We don't do retention needle. We may introduce the needle to the point, but we barely go in and we bring it out. But in China, they actually do needle retention, put the needle in. And by the way, we use sterilized, disposed needles that are as fine as a hair. So that's why they're fairly comfortable.
Wow.
But in the way they're used by the Chinese, you just feel it. And the Chinese feel that, oh, that's so effective because you can feel it. Actually, what they're talking about is the qi. The qi is the energy, which is kind of hard to explain. It's vitality. It's a thing that you feel. It's a thing that makes everything work and make it go. Well, he said to me, if your patients are getting results, then you're doing it right, because that's really what it's all about, getting end results.
Okay.
And so I started treating Chinese patients now, and I would be a bit more forceful than I am with other patients. And they would say, oh, you work like Chinese. I feel the chi, but so it's really a matter of, how long they've had it in their history.
Okay.
And when it comes to mental issues, when we begin to work with patients about that, we seem to get the results fairly early. And one of the reasons is because I'm a 5-element acupuncturist. We look at, water, metal, fire, and so on. So it is very real to me when the heat rises. Well, a disease is described by how it behaves. And if it behaves like fire, then it's a fire illness. And so most fire illnesses have to do with the heat rising to the top. And one way you can see that is, for instance, if a person drinks a lot and now they're a little loopy and the the police stop them, what happens is the alcohol actually produces a lot of liver fire. And fire rises. That's characteristic of fire. Heat rises. So now their brain, in the old days, the old ladies used to say, I don't want to deal with him because his brain is fried. Well, they had a point.
Right.
When you drink a lot, the heat rises.
Yeah.
And so now they're, usually their eyes are red and they can't walk a straight line because the liver opens into the eyes. And so we consider that an illness as well. Why? Because it's an illness. That's the way it's been acting. And there are other illnesses that also are produced by fire.
Okay. All right.
So I'll wait for your next one.
Wonderful. Now this question is going to be geared towards Jadine. Okay. When you hear the word,
I'm sorry, towards?
I'm going to turn it over to Jadine.
Oh, Jadine, sure.
Yes. Jadine, when you hear the word holistic, what comes to mind and how does it work with mental health? The word holistic.
So what comes to mind, Dr. Rhoda actually covered it, so I'm just gonna go over probably a little in depth. What comes to mind holistic is in the word itself. You hear the word whole, right? And so having the opportunity to learn how the West do medicine, right. I shared with Dr. Rhoda when I spoke to her earlier, I got a chance to visit China when I was doing my healthcare MBA and would see how they balance out the two in the sense that they did have Western type hospitals and clinics, but they also had like the holistic centers that focus on acupuncture, herbs, and doing things with the chi. And I learned about Tai Chi as well. So there was something that she said earlier about when we talk about mental health and you're talking about just the mind, everything is mental. And one of the things that I learned is called the Hermetic principles. And the idea is that everything is energy. So she mentioned this. And when we have a disease, it's a disease of the balance of the energy that is flowing through us as a life force. And so when we say holistic, when I hear that word now, I see it as having the balance of the energies of mind, body, and spirit, and being harmony within all those elements of what makes us human, right? And so, like she mentioned, with Western medicine, they focus on the symptoms of diseases or dysfunctions, where holistic approach will be find the root of it, and then let's tackle that, and then the symptoms that come, we'll deal with it as well. So that's how I understand it, and I give it back to other people.
Okay, well, wonderful.
I thought that was very well said. Wow.
Yes, and again, we're talking about the holistic and how does it work with mental health. And I think you put it so well, Dr. Rhoda and Jadine, about how it's so important. We just can't look at just specifically, what are your symptoms? Oh, I'm having a headache. Okay, you're having a headache. Where is this headache coming from? So we have to ask, what were you doing before you started getting this headache? Have you had this headache before? Is it something that you've been experiencing for some time? We need to ask questions and find out, again, what is the root cause? I just wake up today and I'm having a headache. No, we need to find out where is it coming from. And then again, the holistic, again, when we hear the word holistic, we're talking about the whole body, correct? mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Our minds, our psyche, what are our mind? What is the state of our mental? Okay, what are we experiencing at this time? Our bodies, what are we putting into our bodies?
Yes.
The nourishment, what are we nourishing our bodies with? Food is very important. And me and Jadine had a conversation. That is one of my niches. And that's one of the things that I'm passionate about is nutrition. What are we putting into our bodies is what we're going to get out. Okay.
Yes.
What comes in must come out, right? So if we're feeding our bodies all of these wrong things, these chemicals, we're getting chemical imbalances, right? And this is what mental health is mostly about, these chemical imbalances. And where Dr. Rhoda comes in with her acupuncture and using these alternative treatments, which are very successful, rather than let's give them a pill box, right? Let's medicate. Let's fill them up with pills, So that is so important. And I think we're touching that base right now when we talk about that. We're going to go on a little short break for now, but we'll be back very soon. And we're going to pick up where we left off. And we're going to continue to talk about how does the mind and body connection affect our mental health. All right, ladies, we'll be back from the break.
Thank you.
All righty.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. We're back. We're back live, and we are discussing the mind and body connection and how it affects our mental health. We are back here. We are hosting. My name is Peggy Joseph, and I am with Jadine Louissaint and Dr. Rhoda Lohier. And we are so glad to be on tonight. We're going to continue on with our conversation. We're just having a conversation tonight. We're talking about our mental health. I just want to give a shout out to all of the mothers that are watching from, wherever you're watching us from. Again, happy Mother's Day. And type in the chat, where are you watching us from? I know we have people watching us from all over. And, and put a thumbs up if you think this information is so far you're learning a lot, and you're really interested in this information, and that we're giving what is needed in the community as far as mental health is concerned. We're going to continue right now. Jadine, this is going to be a question for you.
Okay.
We talked about acupuncture. Dr. Rhoda gave us a wealth of information, a little synopsis of what acupuncture can do, and as far as illness is concerned, and also the mental health. How does it help to improve the mental health of a person? But there are other methods as well. What other methods are there to help with mental illness in addition to acupuncture? You can take that floor, Jadine, and Dr. Lohier. After Jadine, you can just elaborate on the acupuncture side of things.
Awesome. Thank you. So one of the things I want to reiterate again is that everything is energy, right? And one of the Hermetic principles that is very common for the ones who know about it is the principle of vibration. What that means is energy never rests. So energy is always on the move. And as a whole being, you have the power and the governance of what we call willpower in the soul to manage this energy to be the benefit of you, right? And so oftentimes when mental health come or arise, we tend to go to the physical symptoms that we're seeing, but not understanding if you're an energetic being and it's your energy, or what we call consciousness, that's animating your body, then if you have the basic understanding of energy and how it works, it really helps you to, how can I put this, capitalize and keep your spirit and mental health at the highest good of your well-being. And so one of the things that most people are not aware of when it comes to mental health, deep breathing exercises. In the Eastern, I believe they call it prana, right? So when we're moving out and about, and if you understand your energy, when you take the time to do deep breathing exercises, that allows the body to be still, right? And it allows you to gather your thoughts and get that clarity, right? And so that is an art in itself. You have, I learned about a year ago that you actually have individuals are called breatharians, and all they do is breathe. They do not eat, they do not drink water, because once you understand the whole planet system, although we can't see air is a form of water. Our body is over 80% of water, right? So the logic with that is that they've been able to master their mind to be able to get the nutrients and the supplements from the air that we're breathing, right, to navigate themselves, and that's what they call breatharian. Another thing is that as I started getting into this part of like the Hermetic principles, is that if we know there's a principle of vibration, then that correlates with frequency. Everything is operating on a level of frequency. And so oftentimes when it comes to mental health and some of the modalities that do that, it's called music therapy or sound therapy. Well, recently I came across something called solfeggio frequencies. Dr. Rhoda, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but the idea is that the earth is electromagnetic, right? There's a frequency of the earth. And so depending on what frequency you choose, those frequencies actually help with DNA repair, tissue repair, what else? Helping you stay calm, and like it repairs things in your body through the sound, because we are energy, and our avatars.
More specifically, sound therapy.
Sound therapy, yeah. So it ranges from like 432 to 528, and each of them go with your centers of, if you guys are not familiar with your chakras. If you've heard that term, your chakra energy centers that we have within our bodies, right? So there's a specific solfeggio frequency that you can listen to depending what is going on, that you're listening to yourself, being intuitive, like something's off right now. I feel like I have an imbalance, or I feel like I have a headache. There is a sound frequency that you can listen to while you sleep, and it will start doing what it needs to do, because we are all energy and vibration. The next thing I have is I came across electrical fabrics. So the average person didn't know, and I don't know, that certain fabrics that we wear, because we are energy, right? They actually decrease our energy electromagnetic field, and that makes you more susceptible to diseases and mental dysfunction.
Yes.
And so these fabrics include anything that's not cotton or linen. Okay. Right. Cotton, linen, and wool, anything polyester, all those mixing, it's decreasing your frequency. So it's making you more susceptible to diseases, because you're not operating at the average, what I believe is supposed to be like 1,000, if don't correct me, but like I said, people do their research, and the highest electrical fabrics you can use is linen, wool, and cotton. Linen and wool gives you 5,000 megahertz. Cotton gives you 100. The caveat with wool and linen is that if you wear them together, they will cancel each other out. But this is why in the hospitals they use linen. They know the what healing properties it is. So that's why when a patient comes in, they're using linen, that will help their body heal quicker, so that they can get better, right?
Yes.
Another thing that I learned, and this is, I was sharing with Dr. Rhoda, and when she brought up the whole Chinese medicine and where it came from Egypt, I've been learning more about the indigenous way of doing things before we've had, these freestanding hospitals, what they were doing before these clinics, and using the herbs and using the earth, because people of color, we are basically the equivalent of the earth, right? Yeah. We are walking, talking, I tell people talking trees, but that's a whole nother conversation. But so my point right there is, if you can become one with nature, there are many things you can alleviate in your body, because when you look at nature tells you who the creator is. I don't know what everyone's faith is on here, but if you want to know the creator and know yourself, know thyself, learn nature. And so one of the things that I started doing is called grounding. So I'm not sure if Dr. Rhoda, you're aware of grounding, but it's basically taking your shoes off and standing in the dirt,
on the ground,
in the ground. And what's happening is the free radicals that we're picking up from these electronic devices, they're spraying the skies and all this stuff like that. Your body balances out, and it'll remove the free radicals to balance you out, to have that level of frequency, which I think is 1,000, to be at homeostasis, to be at the balance that we mentioned, that Dr. Rhoda said, it's about energy. If your energy is imbalanced, that's when all these things introduce themselves. And the key is to stay balanced. Yes. So then, because we are the children of the sun, and we can tolerate the sun because we have the gamma rays that the sun produces, another way to help your mental health and strengthen your body and get recharged is to sit in the sun. You can sit in the sun for like 20 to 30 minutes. And what you find is, for the initial person who wasn't doing it, they could only tolerate 10 minutes. But over time, if you continue to do it, people can stay for an hour and it doesn't hurt them. Yes. And that also helps, with mental health and just clarity, looking at nature, looking at the things that are happening in nature to help you with your mental health. And then there is sun gazing as well, but that is for the pineal gland, but that's a whole nother conversation. But sun gazing allows your pineal, which most people would know as the third eye, to decalcify because of the things that they're putting in the foods, particularly fluoride, right? And so that kind of plays eternally with the endocrine system of what controls your temperature, like your thyroid, hypothalamus, pituitary gland. If you can get your pineal gland decalcify, it actually helps with all the other organs in the body. Okay. And then this is one I love, water. We know that we are about 80% water, right? And one of the ways that they've been able to trick us is that they give us the water in these bottles, plastic bottles. But a lot of us don't understand these bottles have what we call polyurethane, all these chemicals in it. So even though you're drinking water, you're not drinking soda or juice, it's not giving you the nutrients that you need, as you stated, Peggy, with the chemical imbalances, because there's minerals that is required in us as human beings for us to be functional, to have the homeostasis of mind, body, and spirit, right? And so one of the things someone could do is try to purchase a copper bottle or a bottle that's of gold. And what happens is this will, because water transmutes itself wherever it goes, it's gonna take on there. Copper is actually good for our bodies, especially people of color, right? And so if you can move away from, some people use titanium, metals. If you can find metal bottles instead of, or glass, instead of the plastic bottles, that would help you a lot as well, because that's focusing on the minerals that you're retaining and putting into your body to have the chemical balance. That most mental health disorders is a chemical imbalance, right?
Yes.
And then exercising. We know that exercising is good for our hearts, it's good for our soul, it keeps you active. And then also meditating. And one of the things I like to do is called gratitude journal. And what that is that sometimes when we're dealing with mental health issues, it's coming out of anxiety. It's coming out of the fear of not having enough or lack. And so one of the ways to raise your frequency and keep you grateful, if you're grateful for the little things, when big major things happen, you can see the beauty of what's happening because you understand the small things that you've seen, how creator, source, what the higher power, you've seen things working out in your favor. So a gratitude journal could be like 10 things you're grateful for that day. Before you start your day, 10 things you're grateful for. By the time you get home and get ready for bed, 10 things that you're grateful for. And that helps with mental health, because you realize if you felt like you weren't keeping up with the Joneses, you realize there's all these things that you do have and you're grateful for, where the other person might not have, but ultimately it doesn't matter, because it's about you and your holistic mental state of mind and knowing that you are enough. There's nothing you can buy, nothing you can do to not be enough in front of the creator. You are enough, right? And then positive self-talk. Oftentimes we can talk negatively, and emotion is actually energy in motion. Energy, thoughts are energy. So whenever you feel like you're going to that place, that dark place, or you're just worrying about stuff, redirect yourself and affirm that I am beautiful. I am masterfully made. Everything that I need, I already have, right? It's just not, I don't have it in the present, but I have the ability to attract anything that I desire once I put the energy and, mindset to it. And then the last thing I would say is create. This system has set it up for us to work for someone else, do something for else, and not have the belief in ourselves that we can create something that could contribute to this world, right? And so for the person who knows that they were made for more, they had something that they can contribute, as you start creating little things, these things become bigger, and then you'll see the impact that you have, and that helps you with your confidence and just knowing that you're giving back in a way that only you uniquely can, because there's only one of us. We're all one of a kind. We all have different journeys, but in the end, mental health is your birthright. Homeostasis is your birthright, So the only way it can be taken away from you is if you give it away. You see what I'm saying? And so just knowing thyself and doing things that remind you of how amazing you are, despite the things that are happening around you, that helps with your, torsion field, aura field, and ultimately keeps you elevated so that you're not dwelling in these, what we call low vibrational thoughts of guilt, shame, fear, worry. You want to be in happy, joy, appreciative in that. Oh, I have one last thing. So so to make this,
we're getting ready to wrap it up a little bit.
Because I know it. Yeah. So
because Dr. Rhoda has to give her stuff, and
So the last thing with this is I'm about practicality and application. So for everything I just shared here, whatever resonate with someone, they will look into it. But one of the things you could do in the morning is for the first 10 minutes of waking up, you're going to say what you're grateful for. Then after that, another 10 minutes, you're going to find either inspirational or motivational speech to hear. And then the last 10 minutes, you just dance to a song that you like. And what's happening is you're getting your brain ready for that day of I'm grateful that I'm here. I have the energy to move around, shake stuff out, and it really sets the tone of whatever comes at you. You've already know you set the tone for the day. So that's it for me.
All right. Well, I hope that a lot of people were taking some notes, because those were very useful things and a lot of new things that has been introduced and that we need to go on and do more research on. Mm-hmm. These are not things that are talked about, that are left out in the mental. And as you were speaking, I had a vision that came to me of when I used to work on a mental health unit, working with the different mental health patients, and they're locked up in a facility, no sun, naturally, right? They go with no sun. They're locked up in a facility that's cold. Also given all the wrong things to eat, you
Correct.
know, no proper nutrition, and just medicated all day and all night, right? Dr. Rhoda, you're going to have 3 minutes to answer your question. The last thing I wanted you to focus on is how has using holistic approach, such as acupuncture and so forth, in mental health helped our community? Can you answer that?
Number one, acupuncture goes hand in hand with herbal medicine. And herbal medicine, which is commonly used in Chinese medicine, help address the mental health concerns. And the formulas are based on the individual symptoms and constitution to help rebalance the body's energy. You see, all holistic practitioners pay heed to three things. One is we increase blood circulation, fluid circulation, and chi circulation. Chi is the energy. And so at all times and with all things that we do, we help bring the body into homeostasis. So even though some organs are as low as the kidney is or the stomach is, it all affects the mind and how the mind,
balances out.
Not just balances out, like the function.
That's operate.
Because there are people who, with their mental illness, I help by tonifying the stomach, because that's a really big deal, especially if you're having heat in the head, it's causing you to do all kinds of things. Even there's another really main thing. And by the way, before I even continue, you mentioned one of the things that you do, which is grounding.
Yeah.
I think that if people want to know more about that, it's called earthing. So they can go online and do that.
That's
and
the
that
name
really
that I knew.
requires that you take off your shoes and put it in the dirt or the sand for like half an hour. I have had people with fibromyalgia just tell me, oh my God, they're like feeling so different. And in as far as medication and herbs go, if a person is on medication, I will prescribe them the herb because 99% of the herbs that we prescribe, since they're all natural, do not contraindicate the prescriptive medications that the prescriptions that doctors have given them. But we don't have the right to ask you to stop taking your medication. But as you get better and the diabetes is like under control, you can ask your doctor to either lower the insulin or cut it out. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And
it's a very important point too. That's a very important point that you're making.
Yeah. So
because a lot of times the doctors, they discourage the patients. They will tell them, oh no, stop doing any herbs and everything because it's going to contradict or counteract with the medication, which is not true.
As a matter of fact, I've had patients tell me that they feel so much better, especially when they're taking Prozac and what have you. They're doing much better. The doctor says, keep taking it anyway.
Yeah.
So they're not really given a reason as to why they have to keep taking it, just that they have to keep taking it.
They have to take it.
They don't trust it. So yeah, I understand that part very well. So we do prescribe herbs an awful lot. And one last thing that's extremely
1 minute. Yes.
One last thing that's extremely important is my most common diagnosis of persons who come into the office with mental issues. It always has to do with phlegm. If you are eating phlegm foods, then you will more often than not, have phlegm misting the mind. And that's when you have all your major issues, including autism. I've helped a few autistic children actually start to communicate better with their parents. And it all has to do with that. And just understand also, as women, we should all know this, fat is phlegm to us. So when a person gives up some of the more popular phlegm foods, which I suggest, they come back slimmer and they're like, I didn't do anything. Just stop eating the phlegm foods, because mucus simply binds and it causes all, actually, phlegm is at the root of all diseases. And even Western medicine, as recent as last 10, 15 years, published an article saying, yes, we've decided that yes, phlegm is at the root of all diseases. So understand that and eat less phlegm foods such as cheese. And there are various phlegm foods. I'm not a nutritionist, but I just cut out the popular phlegm foods and people just get better and better.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about phlegm, Dr. Sebi comes to mind. He was very big on
phlegm.
My
goodness.
And but you know what?
What a beautiful message he had about mucus.
Absolute mucus, and that's phlegm. Phlegm is mucus, right? So I know we're very information oriented, because we have 3 medical people here on the live tonight. We're so detailed, and we get deep and we dive deep, because we're going into the whole pathophysiology. Again, we're medical people, we're medical background. Next week we are going to have Dr. Reed with herbal medicine. Dr. Reed will be doing a live on herbal medicine, which is going to be a continuation as to what we were just talking about right now. And ladies, I hope that everyone enjoyed the live tonight, and I hope that they shared it. We gave a wealth of information, and I believe that we're going to have to do another live to revisit this topic, because it is so extensive. It is so vast. Because when we're talking about mind-body connection, it's not only we dive into the whole mind, which is the psychology part, but also the body, which is, my God, we could go on for days.
And even elaborate on some of the points that Jadine made, because
absolutely,
my
and
goodness,
I believe we're going to revisit that. We're going to take those points, absolutely, and we'll take 3 of those points and really elaborate on that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would love to know more about the earthing, would love to know more about sitting in the sun and so more. But we will elaborate more next week. So Dr. Reed is going to introduce more the herbal part. That's her forte, that's her expertise. She will dive into the herbal medicine, and we will have an opportunity, Jadine and Dr. Lohier, to elaborate more on what those points that you did. We will elaborate on that next week. So listen, we are with the Women Breathe Holistic Center. It's so wonderful to work alongside you ladies. We're all on the board.
Likewise.
Thank you. I just feel that we have so much more work to do in the community, and we're just going to keep on coming on and giving information. And they can also visit the website www.womenbreatheagain.com, www.womenbreatheagain.com, and you can come on and get information, follow our calendar of live events. But next week, still keep your notes, Jadine, because you're going to elaborate more next week. Dr. Lohier, we're going to be on again with Dr. Reed, and we want to thank everyone that came on to the live tonight. And I hope that you gained a wealth of information. Please put in some comments. Go on to the website, comment, go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Give us your comments and let us know, how, beneficial that this was. And if you have any additional questions, go ahead and put them on the different platforms, and we will definitely address them on the future lives. Ladies, it was a pleasure having you tonight.
Likewise.
It was a pleasure to be of service.
Oh my goodness, this was wonderful.
Yes, you were the hostess with the mostest, honey. Get us in line. Get us in line.
But thank you, Jadine. Thank you.
I am just grateful that both of you were here.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
That's the topic.
You ladies were wonderful. Follow our organization on our platform, And there's more to come, right, ladies? We have a lot
Yes.
more in store for the people, right?
Thank you for
We're
having
educating
me.
our community and educating our people so that we can live longer and grow better, right?
Yep.
It
Thank
was a
you.
pleasure,
Thank
ladies,
you.
tonight.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you
Have a
having
good
me.
one.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
me.
and have a wonderful Mother's Day, end of the day.
Thank you. Likewise. Enjoy. Go get a glass of wine and wind down. I shouldn't be saying that, right?
Oh,
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry, we can't suggest that.
Everything
We're
in
holistic
moderation.
medicine practitioners.
Yeah, but anything in
Absolutely.
moderation.
Okay, ladies.
All
Have
righty,
a wonderful
have a good one.
evening.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.